Now, I've spoke tons about the importance of inscription and alchemy, to be fair, when it comes to Mr. Pandaria and getting prepared now. But what you've probably done is just gone and looked for an inscription guide online, found WoW Professions, or maybe even a Wowhead guide or something like that. And none of those guides take into consideration that you might already have one scribe, because I'm basically going to have every single one of my alts as scribe. And like I've said before, I'm aiming to go in with 12. Now, just to briefly recap, in case this is the first Mr. Pandaria preparation video or whatever you want to call it that you're actually seeing, then the importance of inscription in Mr. Pandaria really comes down to a few big things. Firstly, when it comes to making the Dark Moon decks, you can only now make one card per day. So as a scribe, you're going to have a daily cooldown where you make a scroll of wisdom. Each card that you need to make, and remember you need ace through 8 of a specific deck to be able to actually then make it and hand it in and get a trinket, each card craft requires one of these scrolls of wisdom. Now, on the basis it's completely random what cards you make, you could have a really bad run on your main character, and let's say that's the only scribe you've got, and you might make all Oxen, which are the cards that you need for the tanking trinket deck, which is pretty pants. Or you might actually get Tigers, which Tigers are what you need for the agility or strength trinket, but you might make exactly the same card for, 2 or 3 days straight. So it's going to be very important to be able to make as many cards as possible, so for every extra character that you have that has got inscription on it, is an extra card that you can make per day. Now, not only that, using your daily cooldown, you can make offhands, which you can sell on the auction house, which are of epic quality, and you can even make bind on account staves. And of course, with there being no reputation where you get shoulder enchants now, it's actually scribes that make the shoulder enchants, both the blue version and the epic version. So inscription has got a lot of value, but really the main reason you want it on lots of alts is either to make multiple staves at the same time, so make, let's say, the agility one and the intellect one, because if you've got 2 scribes that are using their daily cooldown, it will take 20 days to get both staffs rather than crafting it on one and then waiting 20 days to get one and then 20 days to get the other. And then every other scribe you've got can be using their daily cooldown to make cards. Because remember, if you're limited on the amount of scribes that you've actually got, then you've got to make a choice. What's more important, making trinkets and making gold, or making trinkets to get your pre-ray bis, or getting bind on account weapons that are going to be really strong when you start leveling your alts? Ideally, you want to remove that choice altogether and have as many scribes as physically possible. Now, going back to the guides online, everyone that I've seen doesn't take into consideration that you can trade in Blackfallow ink. So once you've done one scribe, you never need to worry about low-level herbs again. So this video is kind of assuming that you've already got one scribe following one of those guides, and now you're just going to be buying max-level herbs and milling them on your main scribe to basically be able to power level your alt scribes very quickly. Now, if you can't be bothered to sit through me explaining why this is good, why it's not good, how much gold it's going to cost, then I've put it all on a Google document that's in the link in the description. You can just go look it up, follow it all step by step, and basically stop watching now. Just following that document, you're going to be absolutely fine. You'll be able to just get the amount of inks that you need by buying loads of Cinderbloom or Stormvine or any cheap herb off the auction house on your main character, and then milling it all, crafting the Blackfallow inks, and sending everything over to your alts. Follow that document, jobs are good 'em. I just want to give you a little bit more context around it, how much gold it's going to cost per character, and really how long it's going to take. Now, I've personally made this guide. Every single step, I've just sat and leveled 7 scribes back to back just to test this guide and see where there's some pain points. And there's one in particular pain point. Now, I genuinely spent around 12 hours straight whilst watching Netflix at the same time, just milling thousands and thousands and thousands of herbs and making inks to fill up our guild bank, fill up multiple characters, basically so our whole guild has got no excuse. Everyone can put every single alt as inscription. Because obviously we're all going to help each other out when MoP launches, but it's incredibly important that you do this now, because you might just be thinking, oh, I'll wait until the pre-patch because I'm going to level monks, I'm going to put those as scribe as well. Just please don't wait. When it gets to the pre-patch, it's highly likely that the ink trader is going to start requiring Mist of Pandaria inks, meaning you'll have to mill the lower level herbs during the pre-patch and actually do it the long and boring way. Because of course, when we get into Mist of Pandaria and from the pre-patch onwards, we're going to be classed as being in a patch 5 state. I'm 95% sure that it's going to change to the Mist of Pandaria mats, and that won't wait until launch. So at the moment is the perfect time to mill loads of Cinderbloom, Ajara's Vow, Stormvine, whatever you can get really, and trade in all the Blackfallow ink for exactly what you need. Now on this document I've broke down exactly what you need, and the only place that it really changes a little bit is around Ink of the Seas. because I'm not going to talk through this entire guide that I've put together, but I do want to touch on the important section. When it comes to the point where you're ready to craft your Northrend inscription research, you can get very lucky, and the glyph that you discover, you'll be able to craft all the way up to 400 plus, sometimes as high as 430, or you can get really unlucky and it will go green at around 390. Now, the best thing to do at this point is to actually just wait a day. You've probably got other scribes that you need to level anyway, so come back to that one and do the Northrend inscription research again and see if you get a glyph that's going to carry you further. If not, you still can get through this, and I've got through it, and to be fair, the amount of inks it actually required extra was about 10. It was pretty negligible, to be fair, but either way, it is going to actually be more inks that you wouldn't need to use if you're just patient. So I just want you to bear that in mind when you're actually following this guide. But honestly, outside of that one section and you being incredibly unlucky when you're doing yellow crafts, it's almost bang on to the individual ink you need. Now, as I say, our guild has all been pulling together to donate gold to buy more herbs, depositing herbs into the guild bank, and I literally feel like I'm stuck in some sort of milling and ink crafting simulator because it's just never ending. But from all the milling that I've been doing, I can give you some solid facts. Cinderbloom or Mancrick and even things like Heart Blossom, you can pick up for less than a gold a piece. Now, don't get me wrong, closer we get to pre-patch, this is probably going to get more expensive, and the longer you leave it, the more expensive it's going to get anyway as more people start buying them to level their inscription characters. But out of 100 stacks of Cinderbloom, which is going to cost you about 1,000 gold, it gives enough for 500 inks. Now, you're going to need 535 inks, and you'll likely have a few left over with a little bit of luck. You're also going to want about 5 or 6 stacks of extra herbs to be able to mill on the character that you're leveling, but that's all part of the guide. And then you just need 6 of each volatile, but you don't actually need any volatile life, it's just the other 4. So for each scribe you level, it's going to cost you around about 1,400 gold right now if you was playing on the same server as me, and it will take you about 15 minutes to level. Literally, it's that quick. I got it down to about 15 minutes having all the mats prepared, obviously sat in the bag, and then just stood there crafting. So it's not even a big time investment once you've got all the mats. The big time investment is being on your main scribe and doing all the milling and all the ink crafting, obviously, especially if you're going to be doing multiple characters. But like I say, in order to prepare for your first character to start doing inscription, what you're going to want to do is basically get 110 stacks of any herbs that are less than 1 gold, mill them all, make the inks, and you should have enough for 1 scribe. Now, bearing in mind, with 1 daily cooldown in Mr. Pandaria, you're instantly going to make all this gold back, even if you got just a mediocre card. The Tiger cards are going to be selling for thousands of gold, so literally in 1 daily cooldown, you could potentially make 4 or 5 times the amount that it cost you to actually level it ready for Mr. Pandaria. Now, a very important note as well is when you get towards the end of the guide. The guide's actually going to leave you on 505, which is absolutely fine just to get started with Mr. Pandaria crafting straight away. But what you actually want to do then is for the following 20 days, log on each character and make a forged document. It's got a daily cooldown, you can hand it in for a bit of gold as well, and if you're doing this on multiple characters, you're going to get, I don't know, 150, 160 gold a day. It's not actually that bad, and this takes you all the way to 525. Of course, you can waste more materials getting to 525, but honestly, there's absolutely no point. This is getting prepped for Mr. Pandaria, so there's no rush. You might as well get in the routine of logging on all these characters once a day, because that's what you're going to be doing for a very long time in MoP anyway. And now for all of you people that are going to be leveling monks in the pre-patch, this is going to be incredibly important, so please make sure you go and do it ASAP. Before you even start leveling your alts scribes, make sure you look at the ink trader section in this guide and buy all of them and send them to a bank character. Because again, when we get into the pre-patch, it's highly unlikely you're going to be able to trade in Blackfellow ink anymore, so get them all ready now. Literally have a full profession kit ready if you're going scribe on multiple monks or a monk, whatever. Because you're definitely not going to be wanting to waste time during the pre-patch when you've got loads to do on your new monk anyway by having to buy all the old herbs or farm them and then mill them. And it's literally going to take 5, 6, maybe 7 times as long as if you just get all of these now from Blackfellow inks, trade them down, just put them to one side, and then you've got your monk ready. And that's it. If you've got people in your guild that are going to be leveling scribes, like multiple scribes, I'd imagine most people in most guilds are, then don't send them this video. There's no point. They don't need to watch me ramble on. Just send them a link to the guide so they can follow it step by step. And if you have any problems with a guide outside of the Northrend inscription part, because as I say, that does come down to a little bit of luck, then let me know in the comments below and I can make any amendments to it. But quite honestly, I've now done it, 6, 7 times, and it's absolutely fine. So cool. If you enjoyed the video, as always, be sure to like and subscribe. Consider joining the channel as a member. Pick up some new merch in the pinned comment below. Oh, and I should say, any merch you buy does actually support the channel. Probably the best way to support the channel, in all fairness. See you on the next one.